welcome back to my channel. So it's been, how can I say this, the last 2 days I feel that spirit or the universe, whomever, is pushing me to make this video about my no contact or lack thereof relationship with my estranged mother. And just a brief summary as to what our relationship was like growing up and as an adult, like a few years ago. Been no contact. I want to say this year will be 4 years. 4 years, I think. And I just remember going no contact and feeling lonely and isolated, trying to find videos to help like someone that can relate to how I feel, that can kind of give me some insight. Of course, everyone's journey is different. Each individual is different, so no story will be the same, but most people who have experienced this type of abuse, some people say narcissistic abuse. I like to say that along sometimes with cluster B, because there's so many different personalities that falls under cluster B. Y'all get into this sign. Look at that sign. That sign is anyway. So yes, I've been no contact for 4 years, and it was a very difficult decision. It's not easy. You, as a child, you feel that whatever you do is never enough. Like, you can never reach their standards to be loved. As we call it, conditional love. It's very conditional love. And yeah, right, I had to think about it. So I didn't know my mother was the way she was until I went through my divorce, which is like,
and that was a lie. I knew she was effed up since
but I had the therapist
since
at
I
the
was
time
a kid.
has stated, your mom seems like she's a narcissist, based on what you're telling me. And I kind of like shrugged it off. I'm like, yeah, you talking to therapist talk, blah, blah, blah. But I was going through a divorce. I don't know the divorce was painful, to say the least. And I just remember at that time, she just wanted to take. And I'm like, okay, I'm going through a divorce and you're asking me to do X, Y, Z, do this, do that. I need you, as opposed to, let me see what I can do to like help you. And I distinctly remember her just being upset because I wasn't like available to do certain things because I was so depressed. My therapist was like, so she's not gonna like come past your house, she's not going to like cook anything. Mind you, at that time I had a teenage son, and none of that. But I made an excuse for her. I was like, that's just the way she is, da 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 da, making excuses. Like, that's that's our relationship, right? Like, how dare you give me advice on this? First of all, I'm not even here. This is what I was thinking in my mind. I'm not even here for advice about my mother and I's relationship. I'm here to help me get through this divorce because it's painful as F, and I need some help. Y'all gotta get this sunlight, this vitamin D. So where was I? Okay, so yeah, she was like, she could be a narcissist. She also thought possibly she could be on the spectrum. you know, just different things. She was just throwing it out, but I was like, I'm not trying to hit it. Like, lady, you're crazy. Like, that's just the way it is. My grandmother and my mother's relationship is after up. Our relationship is after up. So I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, excuse me, that's how mothers and daughters relationships, that's just the way it is. Like, it is what it is. So I didn't go no contact then because, again, as a child, you want to have a relationship with your parent. Like, this is the person that helped make you. This is the person who, you know, you have a bond, especially with your mom, because she's carried you for those 10 months, and you're just not gonna, as a child, it's like, I'm not gonna just give up like that. So, like, I went through my divorce. She came to the trial, well, yeah, the hearing, excuse me. She came to the hearing with me, went out to eat, Fast forward a few years later, I think after my divorce, I had gotten into a relationship. Everything was going fine. You know, she was vibing with this person, everything was fine. And then when I say everything was fine, meaning it's still effed up, but in my mind, I'm like, we good. So during the relationship at the time, I had experienced the painful loss of my dad. Mind you, my father and I, we had just kind of like developed a closer relationship because he was not consistent throughout my life. But as an adult, like, you know, he would text me pretty much every day, ask me how my day was going. Sometimes we would talk on the phone, So he came to my son's graduation and he met the person I was with. And boom, my father, like, I spoke to him that night before he passed away, because I never forget, I was in Fells Point with my partner at the time, and I had talked to my father. I remember just sitting outside looking at the water, and, you know, in Fells Point in Baltimore. So we had talked, and then the next thing I know, I get a message from my brother, was like, you know, Dad passed away. So when I tell you, I was like, I couldn't even, like, take a shower. I couldn't do anything. I didn't want to get out the bed. Like, it caught me off guard because I didn't expect to take his death so hard. Like, because we had just started developing a relationship. So I was like, okay. The way I cried, like, it just hurt. I feel like I can't even put into words. If you've lost a parent that you had a relationship with, like, you can't even put it into words. So she called me. My mother was, you know, called me, was like, basically she made it about her. But I just pushed through. I got off the phone and just, like, boohoo cried. Excuse me. During that time, she didn't come over to my place. Nothing. Like, all she kept saying was, well, make sure, you know, if you got any type of, like, if he got any type of life insurance, make sure you know, you check that out. I will say she did do that when it comes to, like, finances and stuff. With a gain, probably, and she may think it worked in her favor, because at the end of the day, those type of people, they don't look out for their children. But so fast forward through that, a month later, I lost my grandmother. Yo. Granted, she was almost 100, but those two back-to-back deaths, I was done. And I think during that time, when I lost my grandmother, I don't know what it was, but she was basically asking more from me than what I could give emotionally, physically. Like, I just experienced a divorce. So 3 deaths in, I want to say, like a year and a half span. And she just kept wanting to take. And I remember I screamed I was sitting in my dining room at the time. I screamed so loud, and I called her everywhere underneath the sun. Like, you know, you had a loud scream. It just comes from your belly, and it's like word vomit. You just get that shit out, like, and that's exactly what happened. And I blocked her because I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm done. Like, I'm done with this. And of course, I unblocked her. I don't know how long it was, but I unblocked her. And everything, you know, I got pregnant, had my daughter. And then that's when, I mean, I've noticed stuff along the way. Most narcissistic parents or cluster B parents are not supportive of their children's well-being. Anything that I wanted to do to better my mental health, or be better as a person, it was always discouraged. I worked at a toxic job and I was like, you know, I can't take it. She's like, stay. Any type of abusive relationship or friendship I would be in, she would counter it with something else. Oh, this person, this, that, and the third, da 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 da. Yeah, so I want to say, 4 years ago, this was, I guess, the straw that broke the camel's back, or some people say the pink tote moment. I don't really know too much about that, but I've seen some of the videos on YouTube from TikTok explaining the pink tote moment. I had so many pink tote moments, it's not even funny. It was actually like two. First one was, I went to go pick up my son from her house, and because he was staying over there for a little bit because he was closer to work, so it was easier for him to commute from her place to his job than to commute from here. So I guess he was just like ready to come home. Excuse me. Picked him up, and I remember sitting in the living room. And just to give you a quick backstory, I had broken up with my child's father, my daughter's father, and I was laid off from my job. Granted, I was laid off from my job. So I had those two things kind of going on, and still trying to be a mom, be a good, just live life. Excuse me. I was just dealing with those things. And I went to go pick him up, and I remember sitting in the living room. She didn't say anything to me. Like, you can feel like the coldness. Not, it was just an eerie feeling. So I picked him up. She didn't ask me like how I was doing. And like, I can't even remember if she did give me a hug. I can't remember, but most of the time she gives the most weirdest hugs. It's like, I call it a limp fish hug. Like, yeah, here you go. So I just remember saying, this is the last time I'm gonna be in this house. This is the last time I'm stepping foot in this house, because this tried me. And as a mom, like, I would never, ever, ever treat my child the way she did. I don't, like, if anything, I would want to hug my child, console them, ask how it's going. I know. Now, I didn't speak to her every day like I used to, because I tried to lessen my contact with her, because it would hurt so bad to talk to her. Like, every conversation, it would be about her. It would never be about like, how are you doing? All right, that's better, y'all. It's getting dark in here. It would never, like, if we were to have a conversation, she would turn it into a conversation about her. So I was like, you know what? I can try to make this work. But it didn't work. But yeah, that was my last time I was over there. So I was like, you know what? Forget this. Like, I'm not doing this. And I left. And then a second pink tote moment was 4 years ago. I was at an event with my daughter for Easter. And I think at that time I was still out of work. And she called, was like, oh, let me speak to my granddaughter. And I don't know why I picked up the phone. I don't know why I picked up the phone, but I picked up the phone. Didn't ask again how I was doing. Did not ask anything. Oh, let me speak to my granddaughter. And to me, that's hurtful. Like, if you're trying to build a relationship with your child, doing that is not working. Like, So the next day I called her. I was like, I'm done with this. I don't want you calling me anymore. I'm done dealing with you. I'm not doing this anymore because I be damned. I be damned. I don't care if it's the person that put me into this world or helped me bring me to this world or not. You're not going to sit up here and play with me. So I didn't block her or anything. And she was like, but I love you, this and that and the third. No, you don't. And that's exactly what I told her. I was like, no, you don't. You don't. None of the people in this family did. Y'all, like, they not, like, this gonna be the same thing. I'm gonna, what is it, the hill I'm willing to bleep on, DIE on. They don't, But yeah, she was like, I love you. You know, I'm always here for you, but your actions show otherwise. Like, words mean nothing without actions. Like, you don't like me. I'm going to say my mother's side of the family, they don't like me. They never have liked me. They want to like me, but they don't like me. And that's what it is. And she called in 2024 asking where my sibling is. Like, didn't call again. Didn't call to say, hey, how's it going? I want to work on our relationship. She called and said, where's your sibling? I'm worried about her.
I did not pick up. Saying,
like,
she left when
people, I see other parents on here, their children are no contact with them, and they think it's a fad. It's not a fad. We're tired of being treated like shit. And it's not one of those things. I'm not the type of person that holds on to the past. Like, if you can acknowledge the past and your actions show consistently, okay, because I do notice a lot of people, and everybody's healing journey is different. Some people will, sometimes it's hard to get past the past. I get that because there are some things that sometimes will pop up in my brain. I'm like, why would she do that? Or why did they do that? And, sometimes you have to sit there and process it. So, yeah, this video is to the woman, to the girl who feels that they're alone, because it is very isolating. When you go no contact with a parent, I can only speak to since I'm no contact with my mom, you will have people that always say, oh, that's your mother. You didn't see him. Your parents got you everything. It's not about the material items. And I understand she didn't have it to give. Don't get me wrong, because my grandmother didn't give it to her. I know she didn't, because there have been conversations that I've had with my mother, and she's always stated that my grandmother didn't like her. People show you what they want you to see. My grandmother did not. I did not see the side that my mother saw, just like people didn't see that mean side of my mother in public. I got that part, or the people that are closest to her got the mean parts to her. So when you tell people you are no contact, which sometimes I don't, because I'll change the subject because I don't even feel like talking about it. And sometimes I'm like, yeah, we don't talk. Well, I don't talk to her, and move on to the next topic. But this is, it's just difficult. It can be difficult, but this is the first year I feel good. I made a video a few months ago because I was having a moment, because I really wanted my mother, but I knew I couldn't call her. So I've already mourned the fact that I don't have a mother. But I'm remothering myself. I am being a bomb-ass mother to my daughter. I'm making sure she uses her voice. She has boundaries. And also, I'm making sure that my daughter decenters me. Okay? We talk about decentering the XYs. You need to decenter not just your parents, but people in general, and walk to the beat of your own drum and do your own thing, because we're all trying to figure this shit out. And yeah, so also making this video for my daughter so she knows that mommy tried her best to forge a relationship with her grandmother. Like, I tried so many ways. I just got tired of being on the hamster wheel, or cog on the wheel, whatever analogy that you want to use. I just got tired of it. I also want to do a video on how growing up in this type of household impacts your future relationships. And it's not just romantic relationships. Cluster B / narcissism, it runs deep. Work relationships, platonic friendships, it runs deep. So because I've noticed that people that felt familiar were the people that I gravitated towards because that felt like home. But now I know that if you feel like home, I'm going to run the opposite effing way. I'm going to not collect $200. I'm done. Like, if you feel like home, I don't want any parts of it. Now, the current home that I have, absolutely yes. But the home that I grew up in, no. But yeah. So I'm hoping this video will reach the person that it's supposed to reach, because going no contact or being estranged is difficult. But once you get past that patch, you will feel freaking unstoppable, invincible. Your confidence will go through the roof. You don't give a F what people think about you. You don't care. It's so many different pros, positives to being no contact. But let me know what your status is, or your relationship status is with your parent, particularly your mom or dad. Like I said, I only have experience with being no contact with my mother. And I just want you to know you're not alone. It's a larger community out here now, which I appreciate, because I still look at the videos, because we don't really talk about it. I just feel like we talk about the XYs so much, but we need to talk about these cluster B narcissistic women, because honestly, I feel like the women narcissists are 100 times worse than the men, because we don't, as a society, we think women are weak, docile, like, oh no, they wouldn't do anything like that. Yes, they would. Yes, they would, and they'll do it with a smile on their face. That's the sneaky part about narcissism and cluster B, all those personalities. Some of them can be so sneaky, covert. I know you have the covert and the overt, which I don't even feel like covert is covert, because you can see it. But anyway, I'm rambling. Have a good day. Yeah. Bye.